Good day, everyone. I'll be discussing today about the political self. The Filipino is cosmopolitan. In the lens of history, Filipinos not only carry influences from one culture, but is wrapped around by a cloth of different events and people brought about different motivations. Enriching personality and developing the Filipino traits. Amidst all this, the Filipino is still distinguished in a unique manner through such traits, even though not all of them are agreeable in nature. However, good or bad, it is of utmost importance to identify and understand the traits that the Filipino possesses. After all, it is what brings about our uniqueness and distinction. Political self, it is developed through socialization, through the ways of people learn the knowledge, norms, values, motives, and roles appropriate to their positions in a group or community. According to Jokno 1997, it is our political self was influenced and modified by the opinions, comments, and suggestions of other people. So, where does it come from? Our political self. Literature suggests that several traits are common among Filipinos. Here are some of them. So, the personality traits and values mentioned in each of the collected 24 literary documents were picked up, and the percentage of each trait compared to the whole was calculated. The trait most mentioned as a Filipino personality trait in the literary documents was pakikisama. Pakikisama is cooperation or the interpersonal relationships. Next would be hiya, which means shame and timidity. Third would be utang na loob, which means indebtedness and deep gratitude. The fourth trait is the close family ties, which is well-known Filipino trait that means having strong bonds, loyalty, and deep affection among family members. The fifth is bahala na, which refers to submission to luck or fate concerning the results of an action and includes a somewhat may optimism along with feelings of faith and resignation. The sixth is amor propio. It is a Filipino cultural value that comes from the Spanish phrase meaning love of self or self respect. It also represents honor, dignity, and self esteem. The seventh and eighth traits are bayanihan and hospitality. Bayanihan is which means mutual aid and cooperation. Hospitality refers to the warm welcome extended especially to the foreigners. We all have that. The ninth is the ningas kugon, which means energy deflation, referring to an easily enthusiastic but easily close cool down trait. Actually it literally means ningas, which means flame. Kogon is a type of grass. So kogon grass burns quickly and brightly when ignited, but the fire also dies out fast. That's why it's called ningas kugon. Sa sugod ra maayo. Char. The tenth is respectful elders, which is we all know that. This can be considered as typical traits of Filipinos. In addition, is the mañana, which refers to procrastination habits, and kanya-kanya syndrome, which represents a selfish to each one's own attitude. Pamamagitan, it refers to mediation between parties involved where then the trait indicating submissiveness, it is the tendency to easily yield or obey or give in to others, especially those in authority or those perceived as more powerful. Sip sip. Oh, we all have sip sip. Filipino, we all have sip sip classmates, colleagues. It actually means a colloquial Filipino term referring to someone who flatters or excessively pleases those in authority for personal gain, 'di ba? Are you one of them? Next would be colonial mentality, a mindset where people undervalue their own culture, products, and identity while favoring or giving higher value to foreign or usually Western things. Guilty taan. Next would be inferiority, where each it is a feeling of being less important, less capable, or lower in value compared to others. Are you have? Finally is the Fiesta Grande, which indicates feast and the love for celebrations. 'Di ba? So these are the according to research, okay, literary documents. Okay, let's proceed to the strengths of the Filipino character. So every race has its differing values and traits, and Filipinos are undeniably not exempted from it. We have our own positive characteristics that are considered to be our strength, not just as individuals, but as a whole nation. Pakikisama, strong family orientation, joy and humor, flexibility, adaptability and creativity, hard work and industry, faith and religiosity, and ability to survive are among the main positive traits that are commonly shared by most Filipinos. Let's start discussing about pakikisama. It refers to an interpersonal relationship where people are friendly with each other. To be with someone and to get along with each other indicates basic human friendliness and affinity. This trait is demonstrated in workplaces where office mates are united in certain ways which will fast track the tasks and responsibilities of everybody. So the same with you guys. So if you have pakikisama in your section, in your class, then it college would be easier. Next would be family orientation. Filipinos value their families so much that they tend to keep families intact through the generation, which is why extended family setup is the common family setting in most Filipino households. Families are our source of personal identity, emotional, and material support. We endure great sacrifices just for the welfare of our families, right? We are very family oriented. Next would be joy and humor. The idea that something good could be found in the most challenging of circumstances is the hallmark characteristics of the Filipinos. Filipinos, despite of calamities, poverty, or whatever circumstances, have always the time to smile and laugh. 'Di ba? Fourth would be flexibility, adaptability, and creativity. Filipinos have a great capacity to adjust and to adapt to circumstances and to the surrounding environment, both physical and social. Unplanned or unanticipated events are never overly disturbing or disorienting as the flexible Filipino adjusts to whatever happens. Filipinos' creativity is also exceptional. We enhance things in order to adapt to the environment we are living. And a concrete manifestation of it is the habal-habal, a motorcycle which is capable of carrying 4 to 6 people and is the main transportation vehicle of people living in geographical disadvantaged areas. 'Di ba? When we ride habal-habal, so maigo di ay can fit to 4 to 6 people. That's very amazing. Fifth would be hard work and industry. Filipinos have the capacity for hard work given proper conditions. The desire to raise one's standard of living and to possess the essentials of a decent life for one's family, combined with the right opportunities and incentives, stimulate the Filipino to work very hard. Six would be faith and religiosity. Innate religiosity enables us to comprehend and genuinely accept reality in the context of God's will and plan. Philippines is one of the most religious countries in the world. It is exemplified in the country's traditional fiestas, where the patron saint of every of every municipality or barangay is given a whole day or a week of Thanksgiving celebration. Actually, here in Iligan City, we made it like 1 month or more, diba? Just to show our patrons and senior San Miguel, diba? And we are enjoying it right here, right now, diba? Advance happy fiesta, guys. Number seven would be ability to survive. Filipinos are survivors. It is manifested in our capacity to adapt and endure despite the difficult times. And our ability to get by on little by little makes us able to conquer another arduous day. It is manifested in the millions of Filipinos who bravely live through the most severe economic and social circumstances. So we have these strengths, okay? We have the ability to survive, diba? So check yourself if you have these strengths. We all have these, guys. Okay? Next, let's proceed to the weakness of the Filipino character. Often a strength can be a weakness, and vice versa. A weakness can be a strength. In Chinese philosophy, yin and yang, diba? Yin and yang, dark and light, are described as complementary opposites within a greater whole. While there are positive Filipino traits that are considered as their strength, of course, there are also negative behavioral traits that are detrimental or beneficial to the Filipinos. So these are extreme personalism, extreme family centeredness, lack of discipline, passivity and lack of initiative, colonial mentality, kanya-kanya syndrome, and the lack of self analysis and reflection. Let's start with extreme personalism. Filipinos view the world in terms of personal relationships and the extent to which one is able to personally relate things and people determines the recognition of their existence and the value given to them. There is no separation between an objective task and emotional involvement. This personalism is manifested in the tendency to give personal interpretations to actions. Example, you take things personally. 'Di ba? Do you know someone who take things personally? Which is sad. Thus, a sincere a sincere question may be viewed as a challenge to one's competence, or positive feedback may be interpreted as a sign of special affection. There is in fact some basis for such interpretations, as Filipinos are quite personal in criticism and praise. Personalism is also manifested in the necessity for the establishment of personal relationships before any business or work relationships can be successful. Because of this personalistic worldview, Filipinos have difficulty dealing with all forms of personal stimuli. It is for this reason that one is uncomfortable with bureaucracy, with rules and regulations, and with standard procedures, all of which tend to be impersonal. In the face of this, we ignore them or we ask for exemptions. Personal contacts are involved in any transaction, and these are difficult to turn down. Preference is usually given to family and friends in hiring, delivery of services, and even in voting. Extreme personalism thus leads to the graft and corruption evident in Philippine society. So the extreme personalism, diba? And it is happening right now, which is sad. Let's discuss secondly the extreme family centeredness. While concern for the family is one of the Filipinos' greatest strengths, in the extreme, it becomes a serious flaw. Excessive concern for the family creates an in group to which the Filipino is firstly loyal to the detriment of concern for the larger community or for the common good. Excessive concern for family manifests itself in the use of one's office and power as a means of promoting the interest of the family, factionalism, patronage, and political dynasties, and in the protection of erring family members. It results to a lack of concern for the common good and acts as a block to national consciousness. So, di ba? Political dynasty, my God, it is really rampant here in the Philippines. And look what is happening right now. The corruption is really real, and it's like it is hard to fathom the corruption that is happening right now, and it's so sad for us. All of us paid taxes, diba? Extra taxes, everything, which is very sad. Number three, the lack of discipline. Let's proceed, guys. The Filipinos' lack of discipline encompasses several related characteristics. They have a casual and relaxed attitude towards time and space, which manifests itself in lack of precision and compulsiveness, in poor time management and procrastination. 'Di ba? That's why if it's deadline, we will submit it on, we will make it on the day. Then because it's still 5 p.m., we can still make it. And to the extent what will happen, you are late or what? The the output is not good. Mind you guys. Anyway, let's proceed. They have an aversion for following strictly a set of procedures, and this results in lack of standardization and quality control. In addition to that, Filipinos are impatient and unable to delay gratifications or reward, resulting in the use of shortcuts, in skirting the rules, the palusot syndrome, diba? I was not able to submit the request because of this and that, and in full hardiness, and are guilty of ningas kugon, diba? Starting out projects with full vigor and interest, which abruptly die down, leaving things unfinished. So I hope, diba, we are with this discussion, you'll be able to become aware that we have this personality. If you personality trait, if you have these traits, then try to change for the better. Since you are still a student, you need to have discipline, okay? Because you have deadlines, you have lots of requirements to submit. So I hope, diba, you will slowly learn to become a disciplined student, to become a disciplined Filipino citizen in the country. Char. Next would be passivity and lack of initiative. Filipinos are generally passive and are lacking initiative. There is strong reliance on others, example leaders, government, to do things for us related to our need for a strong authority. Filipinos tend to be complacent and there rarely is a sense of urgency about any problem. There is a high tolerance for inefficiency, poor service, and even violations of one basic rights. In many ways, it can be said that the Filipino is too patient and long-suffering, matiisin, too easily resigned to one's fate. Filipinos are thus easily oppressed and exploited, which is very true. We are oppressed and exploited right now by the Philippine government, diba? Like because we tend to like it's okay. Oh, we tend to be like tolerant to their inefficiency of our the government employees. Then what happened right now, 'di ba? Nangungurakot sila. They were corrupting billions of money to the Filipino people. And even if you are a student, you are affected, guys, because whatever you bought, it has taxes. And our that taxes were those were the one they were, 'di ba? Kinurakot nila. My gosh. This is very timely, our topic. Next would be colonial mentality. Filipinos have a colonial mentality which is made up of two dimensions. First is a lack of patriotism or an active awareness, appreciation, and love of the Philippines. 'Di ba? Um, like I am a teacher before to the Korean I am a teacher before to Koreans and my students are Koreans. They will really like in Cagayan de Oro, then they really love their country. Like they will eat, like they will really like made an effort. Like they will let their parents send their goods here in the Philippines for them to eat it. Because some of the foods here in the Philippines are they're not liking it. So That is just an example, how, and then if you will say that their food is samyang, something like that, buldak, if their food is delicious and you highly appreciate it, they will really feel very happy. So they have that traits, diba? The patriotism and an appreciation to their country. I hope that we have that, diba? Pero ang hirap mahalin ng Pilipinas, guys, sa panahon ngayon. Anyway, the second is on actual preference for things foreign. Filipino culture is characterized by an openness to the outside, adapting and incorporating the foreign elements into our image of ourselves, not built around a deep core of Philippine history and language. The result is cultural vagueness or weakness that makes Filipino extraordinarily susceptible to the wholesale acceptance of modern mass culture, which is often Western. Thus, there's preference for foreign fashion, entertainment, lifestyles, technology, consumer items, etc. Diba? We like the Korean foods. My God, I'm very guilty, guys. Lifestyles, yes, we tend to copy whatever fashion style or lifestyle that the Americans or the Koreans or other countries they have. The technology, diba? It is even hard for us to buy Filipiniana or Filipino outfits because it's sometimes it's very expensive pang yun. Take for example in SNR, di ba? There are cheaper things there. There are cheaper food there compared to the Filipino food that we have. That's why it's also sad. There is really something wrong in the Philippines. Anyway, the Filipino colonial mentality is manifested in the alienation of the elite from their roots and from the masses, as well as in the basic feeling of national inferiority that makes it difficult for Filipinos to relate as equals to Westerners. Next would be Kanya-Kanya syndrome. Filipinos have a selfish, self serving attitude that generates a feeling of envy and competitiveness toward others, particularly one's peers who seem to have gained some status or prestige. The Kanya-Kanya syndrome is also evident in the personal ambition and the drive for power and status that is completely insensitive to the common good. Personal and in-group interest reign supreme. This characteristics is also evident in the lack of a sense of service among people in the government bureaucracy. The public is made to feel that service from these offices and from these civil servants is an extra perk that is to be paid for. The Kanya-Kanya syndrome results in the dampening of cooperative and community spirit and in the trampling upon the rights of others. So there are people who envy other people. There are people who is not happy to the achievement or to the success of their friends. So that's why it is sometimes it is good that if you are manifesting something, you take it from yourself lang. You keep it to yourself, okay? And if it because I believe, ako di ay, I believe that there are friends that we have who are not really happy to what we have, to what we are manifesting, who are not really supported to what we are manifesting because they envy us, 'di ba? There's this little evil somewhere. I believe in that. So as much as possible, 'di ba? Kaya kanya syndrome is not good man yun. But well, anyway, guys. Lastly would be this lack of self-analysis and reflection. There is a tendency in the Filipino to be superficial and even somewhat flighty, 'di ba? In the face of serious problems, both personal and social, there is lack of analysis or reflection. They like to joke about the most serious matters and this prevents looking deeply into the problem. Do you know someone like this? There is no felt need to validate or hypothesis or explanation of things. Thus, they are satisfied with superficial explanations and superficial solutions to problems. We tend to emphasize on form maporma rather than on substance. So to be satisfied with rhetoric and to substitute this for reality. Rhetoric and endless words are very much part of public discourse. As long as the right things are said, as long as the proper documents or reports exist, as long as the proper committees, task forces, or offices are formed, Filipinos are deluded into believing that what ought to be actually exists. The Filipino lack of self analysis and our emphasis on norms is reinforced by an educational system that is often more form than substance, and a legal system that tends to substitute law for reality. So, di ba, it is easier for us if something happens, it is easier for us to accept if they will say it in a joke, yeah, a joke way or what. So to the tendency, you're not able to analyze or reflect to what is really happening, to what is really wrong to that problem, diba? So if you have serious problem, I hope that you don't laugh it out. Okay, try to reflect so that you will know that if you will be able to encounter that problem again, then you will know how to handle it na, diba? Than to laugh it out. Okay? From the discussion of the strengths and weaknesses of the Filipino, it is clear that there is much that is good in us, but there is also much that needs to be changed. It is also clear that many of our strong points are also the sources of our weaknesses. As people, we are person oriented, and relationships with others are a very important part of our lives. We are thus capable of much caring and concern for others. On the other hand, our person orientation in the extreme leads to lack of objectivity and disregard for universal rules and procedures where everyone, regardless of our relationship with them, is treated equally. Our person orientation leads us to be concerned for people and yet to be unfair to someone. Our family orientation is both strength and weaknesses, giving us a sense of rootedness and security, both very essential to any form of reaching out to others. At the same time, it develops in us an in group that prevents us from reaching beyond the family to the larger community and the nation. So, why is this important? That we become aware of our strengths and weaknesses, our characteristics. Why do we need to be aware about this? Why is this very important? Because through this, guys, this is what is happening right now. The corruption and everything. If we are aware of this, then, diba, somehow, slowly, we will going to change this. Because, 'di ba, I still believe that ang kabataan ay pag-asa ng bayan. So make change, guys. Okay? If it's really hard to change, then small things matters. So, ano lang. Next would be the features of democracy. Democracy comes from the Greek words demos, the people, meaning people, and kratos, meaning power or rule. Directly translated, democracy therefore means rule of the people. In some forms, democracy can be exercised directly by the people. In large societies, it is by the people through their elected agents. However, the problem of democracy has been its popularity, which in a way threatened the term's undoing as a political concept. Nevertheless, its core democratic principles possesses several features that most people would consider desirable. These are the following. Democracy is government in which power and civic responsibility are exercised by all adult citizens directly or through their freely elected representatives. What happened right now? Yes, we were able to exercise this one, but we elected I think wrong people there in the government. Nagsisisi na ba ang lahat? Second, democracy rests upon the principles of majority rule and individual rights. Democracies guard against all powerful central governments and decentralized government to regional and local levels. Understanding that all levels of government must be as accessible and responsive to the people as possible. Oh my God, it's you know that this is not true to everyone. 'di ba? Which is not good. So this is just a reminder that this is democracy is all about. Okay? Democracies understand that one of their prime functions is to protect such basic human rights as freedom of speech and religion, the right to equal protection under law, and the opportunity to organize and participate fully in the political, economic, and cultural life of society. That's why, di ba, yesterday there some mass like whole Philippines were able to exercise their freedom of speech, di ba? They went to Raleigh because our government is so messed up, guys. Have you been there? Mm. Have you participated, guys? And what way do you participate? Fourth, democracies conduct regular, free, and fair elections open to citizens of voting age. Citizens in a democracy have not only rights, but also the responsibility to participate in the political system that in turn protects their rights and freedoms. So, nagsisisi na talaga tayong lahat. Sino bang bumoto sa kanila? My gosh. Next would be, are you ready? The status quo. Democracy is more than just a set of specific government institutions. Accordingly, it rests upon a well developed set of groups, values, attitude, and practices, all of which may form different forms and expressions due to the varying narratives, culture, and societies in the world. Moreover, individual awareness alongside with collective awareness are shaped through in formal and informal ways. According to Helmke and Levetsky 2004, define the distinctions as follows. Formal institutions are openly codified in the sense that they are established and communicated through channels that are widely accepted as official. Informal institutions are socially shared rules, usually unwritten, that are created, communicated, and enforced outside of officially sanctioned channels. With regards to culture, it is an informal way in shaping collective awareness as well as religion, morality, and ideology. However, developing democratic culture does not rely upon establishing democratic institutions alone. There must also the presence of participatory attitude in the part of the citizens. Attitudes such as having a sense of responsibility for society and concern for human rights and human development are important in developing democratic culture. In the face of disintegrating institution, this is more significant than ever. Thank you. Have a great day ahead. But wait, we have an activity mood board, then you write your name. You create your own mood board, a collage of images, words, colors, and symbols that represents your family's strengths. Example, your bayanihan, resilience, close family ties, respect. Your family's weaknesses. Example, Nigas Kugun, colonial mentality, sip, submissiveness. And how these traits affect politics and government, citizenship, voting, leadership, participation. Materials you can use old printed pictures from your family or drawings or okay. Scissors, glue, colored paper, markers. Long bond paper, maximum of 3 pages. If you will like your family's strength is 1 page, your family's weakness is 1 page or whatsoever. Do not forget to write your name and section. Deadline is on October 1, 2025. Next. What to include in your mood board? At least 3 strands of your family, at least 3 weaknesses of your family shown through images or symbols, words or short phrases that capture your message. Example, bayanihan spirit, ningaskugan, respect for elders. A title that summarizes your mood board. Example, the Filipino and politics, strengths and weaknesses. Assessment criteria, creativity, 30%, use of colors, images, and design. Content, 40%, clear presentation of Filipino strengths, weakness, and political self. Clarity of message, 20%, easy to understand and meaningful. Presentation, 10%. Okay. Um, this is it. So this is how it is, right? You get paste pictures here or whatsoever strands. You paste pictures here, politics. The short message, something like this. This is an example of your mood board, guys. You can copy this one, you can make your own, okay? And then what else? I guess that would be all. Thank you, guys.